2 seconds.
And this is a full meeting, Bernie.
All right, and you guys should be good.
Okay. So I'll kick it off. So in compliance with Governor Cuomo's executive order pertaining to public meetings during the COVID-19 outbreak, tonight's Arundecoit Planning Board meeting is being conducted using Zoom. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
The flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for
which it stands,
liberty
one
and justice
nation,
for all.
under God.
Okay.
Welcome to tonight's planning board meeting. This meeting is available for live viewing on Facebook, live listings via the phone-in information provided on the town's website. The meeting will also be rebroadcast on ICAT Government Access Spectrum Channel 1303. Tonight, for each case subject to a public hearing, we will follow a very similar order of operations as we normally do, except tonight we're going to use remote access options. Applicants will be invited to join the meeting by video or call when their case is called. Once the public hearing is open, public input on each case can be received either by email or phone. Similar to the regular meeting, each person providing public comment will need to give their full name and address. They will be given up to 5 minutes to provide their comments to the board. Once your comments have been received, we will move on to the next email or call, if any are waiting. We ask anyone sending in comments to put the address or case number in the subject line of the email. During the public hearing for each case, staff will monitor the planning board at arundecoit.org email. That's planning board, all one word, at arundecoit.org email. The emails will be read into the record by staff. Please be sure to provide your name and address for the record. Or the public can call in using the information provided on the website and displayed at the bottom of the screen on Facebook. While the public is listening to the meeting on the phone, they can provide comment on the current case virtually by raising their hand or by pressing *9 on the phone. If you call in to make a comment on a public case, you will receive the prompt on the phone that you have been unmuted. That is your cue to speak to the board. Having said all that, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you for your participation and patience as we navigate through the remote public hearings. With that, Michelle, will you call the first case, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item on the agenda for this evening is a case number PB 2020-09-1. Upon the matter of request by Allied Signs acting as agent for Daniel Kamen, Arundecoit LLC for signage approval to replace existing signage with new logo signage on premises 605 Titus Avenue, Rite Aid store in a mixed-use commercial district.
This was a tabled item. I'd like to entertain a motion to take it off the table. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? None absent and none abstained. We're good to go. Is the
So at this
applicant?
time, the applicant or the applicant's representative does not appear to be an attendee at the meeting currently. I don't have the representative by phone or by Zoom at this point. I just did send an email. He did communicate with staff via email at 5:39, and that response was sent to the Zoom login information that was provided to each of the applicants. So I did send an email just now asking if he's having technical difficulties. Would the board want to potentially move on to the next item on the agenda, since that representative is here, and we'll give the other a chance to join the meeting?
Yeah, let's do that, please.
Well, what's the alternative?
Well, you know, it is the holiday season, so.
So the next case is also a tabled item, so why don't you call it, Michelle? We'll put the other one on hold for a second.
Okay, case number PB 2020-11-1, upon the matter of request by Joseph Santa Croce for revised site plan and signage approval to operate a used car sales lot for up to 51 vehicles on premises 889 East Ridge Road, Safety Motors, Inc., in a C business district.
It's also a tabled item, so I'll make a motion to take it off the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? None absent, none abstained. Okay, if the applicant's available,
The applicant's here, so I'm gonna invite them to allow them to talk. Hold on one moment. So it looks like we've got Joe Santa Croce on the call, and he should be able to speak now.
Okay, hi, this is Mary Santa Croce.
Hi there, Mary.
Hello, hi. So the address is 915 East Ridge Road, Rochester, New York, 14621. At the November meeting, we obtained a conditional approval based on 2 items. The first one was removal of the street signage, and the second one was to address the lights and the glare on the street. We have taken down the signage, the street signage, and we will be removing the lights that are on the building sign. And I'm asking for the board's approval to continue to operate and selling vehicles at 889 East Ridge Road.
I'll ask a question if I can.
Okay.
go ahead. I'll open it up for questions. Go ahead.
The sign, the last I saw, Mary, you guys had cut down the sign. Have you
Yes.
removed the rest of the sign post?
The plan is for those posts to be removed. Our contractor is planning to come in the next couple of days to do so, and take those down, take the iron posts down completely.
So that
But that
should be
will be
done
done. Yes,
around the first week of January,
correct,
your expectation?
correct.
Okay. And can you tell me you may not be able to, the Kelvin temperature on the lights that you guys are going to install, the 222-foot lights?
So I don't have that answer, but I could ask our lighting engineer to provide that answer for you.
I didn't see it. I don't know if anybody else did or not, but
I believe it was on an earlier application. It's not on the revised plans. I believe that we commented before that they were 5,000 Kelvin fixtures, and I think we made the comment at the last meeting that we would be requiring 4,000 max.
right.
So
I believe you're right.
I would be okay with that condition if we get to that point tonight.
I'll give somebody else a chance.
Anybody, any other questions?
So I'd just like to thank the applicant for kind of going back and forth on the lighting plan and providing the additional information with the property lines and everything. There is some spillage into the street that the lighting plan shows. I did go by the site tonight after it was dark, so that I kind of had a little better feel for what was going on, and there is a street light right there. So I don't think it's a huge issue, but I would be looking for some shielding to be installed on the Ridge Road side of those fixtures, just to help cut down on that just a little bit more if possible, if the board was amenable to that.
Any other questions, comments?
Michael here. We had a question about the cars that are parked immediately in front of the part of the lot that's right adjacent to the auto parts, as to the number that may or may not be there. Is that appropriate to bring up at this time?
Do you mean
I
on the
don't believe-
adjacent lot? Do you mean on the adjacent lot, the original current lot?
The original current lot.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that's not something that we can address as part of this proceeding because this application is its own parcel and separate. However, offline or after the fact, I can work with code enforcement to review the approved site plan for that property and make sure that, and just as, so you're aware, the applicant did receive a copy of the approved site plan that the board received since we sent that out. I think that was an item of discussion at the last meeting related to the pedestrian connection between the two lots. So we did find the approved site plan for the neighboring parcel, which I believe is 915 Eastridge Road.
Yes,
And there it specifies the number of parking spaces available at the front. Actually, it shows parking spaces for the entire lot, but it specifies the number in the front along Eastridge Road. So we can certainly work with the property owner to make sure they understand what the limitations are.
while I'm on that, historically, they typically have 2 or 3 automobiles parked on the ingress and egress that goes out to Eastridge Road, which I'm not comfortable with, only because it's certainly, you need to get something in there. They're in the way if it's an emergency.
I think that's a great comment, Mike.
And certainly the applicant, if they want to comment on your
Yeah, so-
remark.
Right, so the cars that where they're being parked.
I'm having
is
a little
based
hard
on the
time hearing.
approval. The vehicles and where they're being parked. Approval from the town board. So we are adhering to the.
Mary?
approved- Yes,
There seems to be a lot of background noise. I don't know if it's coming from you or if it's coming from one of the board members. Can
Might
I
have
just
been
ask
me.
everybody to
I took
mute?
care of it.
Okay,
I think, okay, thanks.
Very sinister.
so the, where the vehicles are being parked today is based on approvals that we received from the town. So if something is changing, we're certainly not aware of that. And if this is technically relating to 915 Eastridge Road, the discussion for tonight's board is 889 Eastridge Road and not 915 Eastridge Road.
Mary, as staff, I'll follow up to that. I'll indicate to you that if, based on the planning board's comments and what we'll do is I believe you received a copy of the approved parking site plan that shows where parking is allowed. So if your current configuration of parking follows that, then you're in conformance with your approved site plan. However, if it doesn't, if cars are parked where they are not shown and allowed to be parked, then you are not in compliance with your site plan, approved site plan. So when you look at the approved site plan from 2012, it showed 7 allowed parking spots in front of the building directly, and it showed another 6 spots to the west along the Eastridge Road, property line. So anything above and beyond that, including the cars parked in the ingress egress, in other words, the driveway into the parking lot, would not be in conformance with the approvals that were issued to your 915 property. So while that's not a subject or can't be a condition of any approval related to 899, the planning board is certainly able to point out to you that you may be not in compliance and ask staff to follow up on that, which is what we can do after the fact.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'll now go back to the 2012 plans and ensure that there's follow through on those. Not a problem.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
I was just going to kind of follow up with a comment to Mr. Palermo's comment there. I would be in favor of a condition for the current application in front of us to clarify the number of spaces directly along Ridge Road that would be allowed for parking, which I believe is 6. if I'm looking at the correct number on the plan.
I thought it was 7 and 8, actually.
It is, it is
Yeah.
7.
I'm talking about the one that's in front of us tonight, not 915.
Oh,
I
okay,
am
I'm sorry.
too. I am too. I can go back and refresh my memory.
Yeah, and I'm not looking to limit them beyond what they have for parking spaces. That's not my intent. I'm just looking at the updated lighting plan, the most recent lighting plan that we got, because that's what I have open in front of me right now, and that shows what appears to be 6 spaces, but maybe I'm incorrect on that.
Yeah,
Did
so.
you say 6, Spence? I'm sorry.
no,
Did you say?
it-
6 is what I see on the lighting plan, but again, that's the lighting plan, not the site plan.
Yeah, no, the actual plan, there's 7, there's 7 going across East Ridge Road.
And 8 against a building, correct?
Correct, that's correct.
That's what I thought the original application indicated. I see what you're talking about, Spencer, also.
The lighting plan was meant for the lighting. I don't believe the lighting engineer was focusing on the number of parking spaces.
Yeah, but he's using the same map, so.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the aerial photo that's underlaid on his lighting plan, I'm not sure where a 7th vehicle would be parked there. I'm trying to pull up the site plan right now.
Yeah.
If I could change course real quick while you do that, Spencer, just in the interest of time. And I apologize if this question's already been answered. There's been a lot of emails flying around. So, is the intention to remove the building mounted signage or sorry, the lighting, the stuff that faces towards Ridge Road?
Are you referring to the lights that are currently on the building sign?
The 2 that are currently on the building that face towards the parking lot out front. They're big floodlights. We got 2 lighting plans from,
Yes,
Your-
yes. The plan is to remove those.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is Carrie, are you possibly bringing up the site plan that Spence is looking for, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can see if I can share a screen, if you'll bear with me for one moment.
So I pulled up the applicant's site plan, which is kind of just a sketchy survey type drawing, which does show 7 and 8, 7 along the road and 8 along the building. However, when looking at Google Maps, which is what the lighting engineer used as his base drawing, I think, there are only 6 there today. And I don't see how a 7th wouldn't encroach greatly into one of the ingress egress curb cuts. So I'm not sure that 7 is going to work along there.
Did it show new striping, Spence? I didn't.
I mean, they're lines drawn by hand on a survey. So, I mean, I guess, I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman. It doesn't, it's not super formalized. I'm not positive.
We
I
have
can't-
now 7 vehicles, and there is not an issue with encroachment whatsoever. There's space on both sides of the aisle.
It seems to me, Spencer, if I'm looking at their aerial photo compared to the hand-drawn one, that there seems to be an island missing on the west side of where the vehicles would be parked, or the east of that entrance egress.
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It's kind of hard to tell on that old survey.
So, Mary, are you telling us that currently there are 7 cars there?
Correct.
I'm having a little trouble matching up this pedestrian access that we have before us for 889, with the purpose of that being able to link the two properties. And I'm having a really difficult time understanding exactly where that pedestrian access connects with the property, the other property, because the approved site plan that we have, the sketch that we have for 889 that shows the pedestrian access and the aerial photography, none of them seem to agree.
I think somehow we're getting caught up with the aerial, but the aerial was meant for the lights and not necessarily the pedestrian walkway and the parking spaces. But we provided an actual map that shows the pedestrian walkway between 915 and 889 East Ridge Road. And we clearly like highlighted it and showed where the access would be and showed the sizes of the access.
No,
And all that was,
I agree with you. I see it on 889, but then when it's supposed to be a pedestrian connection between the two properties. And if I look at the approved site plan for the other parcel that we're connecting to, it could be that there's cars that are supposed to be there per the approved site plan. It's just not exactly clear to me. And then in the approved site plan, I don't know, guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't see that area that's built up and raised as I see on the Google Map aerial photography. And that pedestrian connection seems to be connecting to that property in that area that's raised, maybe. But it's really unclear to me. And I think it's relevant to this property because it's the pedestrian connection from this property to that property. We don't want to have them have a pedestrian connection that doesn't go, that goes into the side of a car or into the sides of the side of a block wall or whatever the case is.
Can I ask a good question in a different way to Mary? Currently, what is happening with your employees between one parcel and the next?
So as far as, so what we have on the vehicles is we have codes that are scannable and that will
Just to slow you
provide.
down, I don't need to know all of that.
Okay.
What's happening when your employee goes from one lot to another? How are they physically doing that?
They're walking from one lot to another.
In between cars?
No, through the pedestrian walkway.
The sidewalk on East Ridge Road, what pedestrian walkway? That's a part I'm trying to get clarified to go to Brad's point.
Yeah, so we have a map that we provided. Carrie, I don't know if you could possibly bring it up. I mean, I could try emailing it again. And it shows access between the two parcels, not on the East Ridge Road sidewalk, but between the two parcels, between the two adjacent parcels. So there is a pedestrian walkway between those two.
Mary, am I
Mary,
able-
to Brad's point, there seems to be vehicles parked exactly where you're telling us you want to do a walkway, which is to the south part of the parcel that we're the building that we are considering tonight, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, but there are no, I'm not sure where you're seeing that there are vehicles parked there. There are no vehicles parked there. It clearly
On
shows
915, there are no vehicles parked?
on 915. No, we are not parking any vehicles there on 915 if that's a concern. No, we can't because that's a pedestrian walkway.
Carrie, am I able to share my screen? I've got a perfect Google Maps thing that I think explains both the parking question and perhaps the pedestrian walkway that I think may help here.
Yeah, so Spencer, you should be able to share. So at the bottom, if it's restricting you, let me know. There you are.
Can
Okay.
you guys see this? Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so I think this angle here, Google Maps actually drove through this property apparently. So I think this picture here shows the configuration of the parking along Ridge Road, which is as existing as 6 spaces.
Yep.
So this is my concern. I understand that if these are automotive, vehicles that are for sale, they don't necessarily have to be parked quite as far apart as what might be a parking lot for, general public to use. However, I'm not sure that we're going to fit 7 cars within the same area of these parking spaces that are shown that does not encroach upon one of the 2 drive lanes. So I think that's the concern here. And then let me swivel my view around here for a second. Okay, so if I'm understanding Brad's question correctly here, I believe the pedestrian access is shown kind of to the rear of the building on the right here, going over to where there's some vehicles shown on the left and some asphalt. So I think now to the applicant's point, this could be an old photo. I don't know. I'm just bringing up hopefully some clarification on where the question is coming from. Is this correct, Brad? Does this make sense?
Just as a clarification, the image capture date listed at the bottom is June 2017.
Yep, completely understand. I'm just trying to help everybody understand why I think the questions are being asked.
Yeah, that's my question. It's also been my experience with what I've seen recently driving by, that typically there are vehicles parked in those similar or the same locations, which would impede that pedestrian. Now, I also understand that may be not in compliance with the approved site plan, which would be entirely another issue. So when I do look at the approved site plan, it's important that we put this pedestrian access in a place that aligns with the approved site plan, so that we make sure we put it in a place. It's hard to tell where to put it right now because we don't really know where the cars go in relation to this site and on the approved site plan. And when I look at the approved site plan, I may be wrong, but that area that's raised does not appear to be there. And that seems to be the place where the pedestrian connection is being asked for. So I want to have a pedestrian connection there, but I want to make sure that it's going to jive with the approved site plan for next door.
Okay, so a couple of things. We have 6 cars parked, not 7. So I take that back. I just had somebody double check. So in facing Ridge Road and 889, we only have 6 cars. So the concern about 7 cars, we will only have 6 cars ever parked there at this juncture. And as far as the pedestrian walkway is concerned, I mean, we have charted an area, and the reason we've charted that area where it is because from a retail standpoint, we want to be able to obviously, showcase our inventory. And we believe that that's the best way for our employees and our customers to go between the lots.
No, I don't have a concern. What you're saying totally makes sense. I don't know how to say this. The concern is if the placement of it is correct when you look at both lots together, the approved site plans for both lots. Because there's definitely a discrepancy, I think, between what's on the lot next door right now and the approved site plan. And what I think we need to do is make sure that there's a pedestrian access between the 2 lots and make sure that it jives with the approved site plan for next door. But it's difficult to tell where that is.
Okay, so, right. So from this Google map view from 2017, definitely I could see how it would be hard to tell because we actually didn't own the building in 2017. But what we have done now is we have chartered the pedestrian walkway area. And if you do an aerial photo right now, you won't see cars parked right where the walkway is, looking at the 2017 Google map.
if I look at the approved site plan for the lot next door and the approximate location of where you want to put the pedestrian access, it's labeled that there's a block wall there and there's a drop off of like 5 feet, 37, 27, 29, 30, 4 feet.
No. No, you're looking at this more south perhaps, because where the walkway is, the properties are in total alignment. There is no actual drop off. I think you may be looking at a further, you may be looking at further down the line of the property.
Yeah, I know. This is the point. It's just not clear where it is in relation to the other property. I mean, I'm not sure.
So Brad, can you see my cursor? I don't know if you guys can see my cursor moving right now. You can?
Yes.
Okay. So just looking, I just switched over to the drawing in the application, the site plan drawing. And it appears, just based on where they've got that sketched and how it kind of lines up with this corner of the building, that they're showing a pedestrian walkway that would be somewhere right in here.
Correct.
Which if we go back to this sort of street view look, that is,
Right
you know,
there.
right about here. It is flush. I mean, I think Mary's 100% correct. I think it is flush. I think what's confusing, Brad, is unfortunately, I think the site plan that they're using as their base drawing for their application is old unto itself, which is causing some of the confusion. But it does look like, if I understand it, it would be right here in this general area. Now, I still think, to your point, you know, we have to make sure that where we're approving pedestrian access on the site that's in question tonight, we have to make sure that that makes sense to the adjacent parcel, because it would be equivalent to, you know, putting a sidewalk on somebody's parcel that then walks you into the face of a building on the neighbor's parcel. We have to make sure the pedestrian walkway is functional. And I think that's your point, Brad.
That's right.
So I understand, maybe this is a staff question for Carrie and or Nate here, our attorney. You know, how do we, I think Mary's, the applicant has obviously the best intention. The pedestrian access only helps her businesses or their business. So I think it makes sense that they're going to do something that's functional, but how do we approve that and make sure that we're not approving a problem, which the problem would be on the property that's not here before us today? How do we move forward with that, I guess?
So I'm going to take a stab and then I'm going to invite Nate to undo anything I've just said, if that's necessary. So the application before you is for, you know, obviously for 889 Eastridge Road. You've got testimony from the applicant who owns both properties, this one in question and the neighboring one, that the access is being provided on the location of 889 that makes sense, and then it connects in a way that makes sense to the neighboring property at 915. What we could do is we could ask that the applicant submit for a lack of a better term to town staff, an updated drawing or a modification of the 2012 plan that we have on file that shows where the pedestrian connection is happening on the adjacent parcel. So that could be added to both files, both to the 2012 approval and be a supplement added in for the application for 889, so that it's essentially a review without having to go back for a revised site plan, because it's a minor modification to that existing site plan on 2012. And I think further, if since the planning board in 2012, in rendering their decision, didn't have any meaningful conversation or dialogue related to the side lot. In other words, the configuration along the side wasn't really a subject of conversation. It was more communication about what was happening in the front of the building, that it wouldn't undo anything that the planning board did back in 2012.
Works for me. Does it work for Nate?
I think that's certainly appropriate and again, appropriately addresses the concerns as you've expressed as they relate to the projects that's before you this evening as far as pedestrian access, safety and the like.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for the applicant? Okay, I just want to remind the board that we already did do seeker. It was a type 2 action, and we did that at the November 23rd meeting. If there are no other questions for the applicant, I did take quite a few notes here, so if it's okay, I'd like to make the motion. Is there any questions before I do that?
No.
This was advertised, was the public hearing closed for this one, Michelle?
No, it was, the public hearing remains open and it was advertised as a public hearing.
Right, so
thank
I'll
you.
let you know
Thank
that I don't have anybody in attendance besides applicants or their representatives. Michelle, have you received any emails while this meeting's been going on to provide comment on this application?
Let me just pull that up right now. Not relating to this case, thank you.
Okay, so I
So-
think you might want to open the public hearing and then procedurally close it since there's no
No problem.
participants.
Thank you for that reminder, Carrie. So we'll open the public hearing. If there's anybody from the public who would like to address this. Seeing that there's still none, we'll close the public hearing. With that, I'd like to make a motion in regards to case number PB 2020-11-1 that we approve the site plan and with the following conditions: 4,000 Kelvin on all the lights, shields on the lights on Ridge Road East, 6 cars on East Ridge Road and 8 cars in front of the building limits. Remove the existing lights on the building facing East Ridge Road. Applicant to submit updated 2012 plan for pedestrian access clarification. Anybody like any of
Yeah,
those?
Can I amend that just slightly? The lighting is 4,000 or less. I'd be happy with 35 or 3,000. And then I thought we were also going to, Mary has told us that the iron is going to come down within the first week of January. I don't know that we have to make it that specific, but that the remaining parts of the sign pole is removed.
The remaining, I'm sorry, Ellen.
The remaining iron work
Where it was cut off.
for the old sign is removed.
Structure, maybe?
Yep,
So I'm going to write it as remaining old sign structure is removed.
and what did we decide about the parking spots in front?
We had
In front of
East
889?
Ridge Road and 8 cars in front of the building.
How
No,
about on
no.
Ridge Road itself?
6.
Okay.
In,
I wrote down 6 cars on East Ridge Road and 8 cars in front of the building.
Did we need to add our lighting to for everything except for security?
Yes. I would like the lights extinguished 2 hours after they close and 1 hour before they open to be relit.
Say that one more time, Alan. Lights, how many?
The lights are extinguished 2 hours post closing and may be relit 1 hour prior to closing.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. You mean 1 hour prior to opening?
Opening,
If you
correct.
open at 6 in the morning, you can turn them on at 5,
Yep,
Okay,
for
opening.
example.
Yep, you just said prior to closing, Alan.
Oh, prior to
I
opening.
would correct that. Okay.
It's a
I have
little longer curfew than they anticipated.
no problem amending with those conditions. Do I have a second?
I'd like to just interject too. I think it should be clear that your revised site plan as to the adjacent property is in connection with ensuring pedestrian access from this current parcel at 889, not just pedestrian access in general.
I'll change that to applicant to submit updated 2012 plan for pedestrian access clarification for 889 East Ridge Road.
Correct.
Yep.
Do you want any further signage changes to come before the board or no?
Any changes, I think, should come before the board that would be less than ministerial.
Could you once again reread what you feel is the part where the sidewalks are, connecting sidewalks going to butt up against one another? It didn't sound clear to me.
Sure, I'll read it again.
Thank you.
Applicant submit updated 2012 site plan for pedestrian access clarification for and from 889 East Ridge Road.
I'll second it.
You're seconding the motion or seconding that particular?
No, the motion, unless
Thank
there
you,
was
Ed.
more debate on the,
How many conditions you got there, Bernie?
Yeah, I think the only question was Brad had an open question on signage
Seven.
and other changes coming back. That's all, right, Brad?
Yeah,
You want to add any signage changes have to come before the planning board?
that was a question to the rest of the board.
I would support that just because that's been something we've been doing pretty regularly and stuff.
Spencer, say that again, please.
I'm gonna read all of the conditions. Just since we had so much discussion about it. So the motion includes the following conditions: 4,000 Kelvin or less on all the lights. Shields on the lights on Ridge Road East. Limit of 6 cars on East Ridge Road and 8 cars in front of the building. Remove existing lights on building facing East Ridge Road. Applicant to submit updated 2012 site plan for pedestrian access clarification for and from 889 East Ridge Road. Remaining old sign structure to be removed. Lights are extinguished 2 hours post-closing and 1 hour prior to opening. Oh, that doesn't sound right. Lights extinguished 2 hours
Yeah.
and on.
1 hour prior to opening, 2 hours after closing.
Yes,
And turned on 1 hour.
they may be, yeah, relit at 1 hour prior.
Yeah, so, yes.
And then-
I just wanted to mention, so iron poles removed, right? That's what you mean by structure?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, if we could just put iron poles removed, it would be more specific to us, as a
Okay.
business. Thank
No
you,
problem.
thank you.
And then any signs changes have to come before the planning board.
Yeah, we will absolutely do that when the time comes.
Okay. Mr. Richards, do you still second after rereading all those conditions?
I do.
Hey, Bernie, real quick, can you please just change, can you change the building, the East Ridge Road building mounted signage to roof mounted? Because there are sconces on the front of the building and I don't want them to have to take those down.
Existing roof lights? Okay.
Yeah, so instead of that, you can leave the condition as is, but instead of saying just lights on front of buildings, say roof mounted lights.
So I got remove existing roof lights on building facing East Ridge Road.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay. Mr. Richards seconded it. All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? No nay, no abstains, and no absence. Good luck in, with your business. Look,
Thank you.
hope you have a successful year. Thank you.
Thank you, board. Thank you very much for all your help. Thank you, and support and leadership.
Thank you for making all the changes and the cooperation.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year's.
Okay, with that, Terry, can we go back to the first case? Is the applicant here now?
The applicant is in attendance.
Would you like me to reread it for the record?
Please. It's already, we took it off the table, correct? So we don't have to do that again.
Correct.
All right.
So case number PB 2020-09-1, upon the matter of request by Allied Signs, acting as agent for Daniel Kamen, Arundequoit LLC, for signage approval to replace existing signage with new logo signage on premises 605 Titus Avenue, Rite Aid store in a mixed-use commercial district.
The applicant's there. Please state your name and address.
The applicant looks like they just need to
Hi, Greg.
unmute themselves and they should be all set.
Greg Fishold, Allied Sign Company, 720 Erie Boulevard West, Syracuse, New York. Is that working?
You're all set. We can hear you, Greg.
Sorry, I'm new to this. So with everything, the feedback that we got at last meeting, Rite Aid has decided to go all non-illuminated with routed letters, gooseneck lamps. Michelle, I'm not sure if you got the last email I sent you about 2 hours ago. With the changes.
Should we be looking at the one from 6:30 today?
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, Michelle's frozen right now. She just sent me a message. So she's having some connectivity issues.
Oh, back on.
Okay, so
So yes, we did get it, and I had Nate confirm, Nate, actually, our town attorney, deputy town attorney, confirmed that it was received. I couldn't open it here, guys, because of my connectivity issues. So I just had forwarded a little after 6 this evening. I don't know if you guys can see it or not.
So all the internal illuminated signs would be removed and routed letters, pin mounted, would go up as per the drawings. Anything that's illuminated would be from gooseneck lamps. They're eliminating the post and panel drive-through directionals. That's totally out of the plan. There's 2 existing right now. Those would be taken out and just removed.
Michelle, HIP came through with something like this afternoon. What was it that they wanted? I was unclear. Was it something about the drive-through side? Because I think it's been addressed, right?
The HIP group, correct.
And it was that additional drive-through sign was not eliminated in the recent, and then they eliminated it now in the 6:30, so that should be all set then, is that right? Am I understanding this correctly?
That's what it appears to be.
Trying to find, there it is. Greg, they're talking about if they address concern number 1 in the HIP group comments, the lighting of the drive-through sign on the west side of the building from the newest submission, so we would like this addressed.
Yep. So what it is, it's a 4-inch sign cabinet. It'll have a plastic face, but it won't be internally illuminated. It'll be illuminated by gooseneck lamps per their request.
Talking about the drive-through sign or they're talking about the drive-through sign though, right? They don't want that lit? Is that what they don't want?
Yeah, it's the sign cabinet. They didn't want it internally illuminated. Rite Aid wants that illuminated, so they're gonna put gooseneck lamps over the top of it.
I thought it said, forgive me, there's like a whole bunch of emails. Comment. Does anybody else see that email?
I saw it. I couldn't figure out what you wanted. I mean, I think that this is pretty close to what we had asked for, and I really want to thank Rite Aid for actually reducing their signage by almost half on this property, and it really does conform much better with the muck than. And I think working together, we've built a nice project.
It is.
We agree. Any other comments or clarifications? The public hearing wasn't closed at the last meeting, so I think we do need to open, unless there's more questions for the applicant, or if the applicant has anything else they want to share. I'd like to open the public hearing.
I don't have any attendees other than the applicant at this time. Here on the Zoom call or Zoom app. Michelle, have you gotten any emails?
Let me just double check quick here. I do not have any new emails on this application either.
Do we want to consider the HIP one that came in today? Public input, or?
I found the email. Do you want me to just read it?
Please.
If somebody could read it for the record.
It says, so it came in today, Thursday, December 24th at 2:57 p.m. And it says, hi, Michelle, it appears they have addressed our concern number 2 for the front pylon sign. I cannot tell if they have addressed our concern number 1, the lighting of the drive-through sign on the west side of the building. From the newest submission, so we would like this address. Have a wonderful day, Ann.
So if the applicant would like to just address that, just for clarity.
So I think on the last one, the drive-through sign was internally illuminated. So the drive-through letters would light up internally. So I think that's what she was speaking about. So they did change it. So it was a thinner cabinet and it had goosenecks.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions for the applicant before we move on this?
No.
Okay, I just want to remind the board that this was a type 2 action, and we did decide that on September 28th planning board meeting. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and do it on PB.
Alan, did we close the public hearing? I'm sorry.
I thought we had.
If not, we'll close the public hearing, and now we'll entertain a motion.
All right.
Thank you, Bill. Just to make sure.
On PB 2020-091, that we approve the application. I gotta tell you, it's marked 04894 brand book version 11, it looks like to me, with the condition that the lights are extinguished 2 hours after closing and relit 1 hour prior to reopening.
I would second that motion.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstains, no absence. It passes 7-0. Thank you, and thank you for taking all the input, and much luck going into 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the board. Michelle, thank you for all your help. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. Take care and have a happy new year.
You also, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Other business before the board? Do we need to state that PB 2020-11-2, the applicant has withdrawn the application from the agenda? Correct?
Correct. That's and what we'll do is that won't appear on any future agendas for the planning board until such time that the applicant submits a new application.
Okay. And then there's a couple item for board actions.
So I'll read into the record, the item for board action, the intent to declare lead agency upon the matter of request by the town board by resolution declaring its intent to serve as lead agency for the purpose of seeker regarding a text amendment to the proposed local law regarding the Arundecoit Town Code, Chapter 235, Article 4, R1, R2, and R3 residential districts.
Okay, and you're just looking for a lead agency, a positive or a negative
This
declaration?
is just consent that you'll say yes, that they can serve as lead agent, or no, you object.
Okay. Is there any questions on that from anybody from the board?
No.
Let them have it.
Yes, yes, please.
All those that approve being the lead agent for the proposed local laws that we just discussed, do I need a step before we go forward?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
That
Okay.
the town
Thank you, Mr.
board
Palermo.
would be-
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. Who seconded that motion?
Mr. Palermo.
Thank you.
And it was 7 yes, 0 nay, no abstains, and none absent. Thank you. Is there any other actions before the board tonight? Was there minutes?
I have meeting minutes.
I
I
would
don't-
make a motion that we approve the minutes from the special meeting on December, somebody help me,
14.
14th,
yeah.
as presented.
I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? No abstains, nobody absent. We're all set. With
We
that,
have-
I think that concludes the business tonight. Is that correct?
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. We also had meeting minutes from November 23rd, 2020.
Approve them too.
Second,
I'm sorry, that was Mr. Reed. You approved them? I'm sorry.
I did.
Mr. Evelyn.
Mr. Evelyn, thank you.
You say November 22nd?
23rd.
23rd. My apologies.
And I apologize, who was the second on that? Mr. Richards, or was that somebody else?
Mr.
Yeah, that's
Richard.
fine.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed, nay? Nobody absent? Nobody abstains? Is there any other business before the board tonight?
I move we
Motion
close
to
that
adjourn.
2020.
I will second that, and everybody have a happy New Year's, and let's hope 2021 is a much better year than 2020. Thank
Happy
you.
New Year, everybody.
Go
Happy
Bills.
New Year.
Happy New Year. Go Bills.
Perfect timing. Thank you. Take care.
Happy New Year.
Happy
You
New Year.
too. Thanks.
Bye, Mary. Happy New Year.
Same to you and your family.
You too.